What if the life you dream of building is just one bold decision away? I met up with professional dog trainer and social media star Taylor Cezanne to understand what happens when you're willing to step off the ledge and into your own creative journey. From finding your purpose to staying authentic in an increasingly sensational, social media-driven world, this conversation might just give you the permission you've been waiting for to begin your own adventure. Welcome back to Promenade.
I've really got a fascinating experience for you today. I'm joined by Taylor Cezanne. She suffers from an acute case of what we call being internet famous, entertaining millions of people online and teaching us how to best take care of a man's best friend. We've kind of been playing phone tag for a little bit trying to make this happen, so I'm glad we finally made it. Yeah. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I did want to ask you, because I know you work with dogs 24/7. I wanted to know what the most ridiculous thing you've ever done to make your dog happy was.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So my dog Cooper had a spinal cord injury, which left him temporarily paralyzed. He recovered, he's fine. But when I was taking him home from that, he was extremely hurt. He was under sedatives. It was his first night back home, after he got back from the animal hospital. And I'm trying to make him comfortable at home, right? I had friends coming over that weekend. It was also my birthday. So I had friends, thank you. And friends coming over, and I asked the vet, do you think I should tell my friends not to come over? Maybe Cooper doesn't need that right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, Cooper might actually think they're there to see him. And I'm like,
isn't everyone there to see Cooper?
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cry right now. That is the sweetest thing I've ever heard in my life. If that's what he thinks, then everybody come over right now. And I had them come over, and he was very happy.
Thousands of pets. The very goodest of boys.
Well, think about it. He's so freaking sad. He's hurt, and there's people that come see him. That's cute.
One of the things I want to talk about today with you that I've been very curious about, I want to explore the idea of the parasocial relationship. And by that, I mean the idea that people think they know you because they've seen you so many thousands of times on their screen. They get this idea that they understand what your life is about. How much of a gap would you say there is between the online persona that people are going to see and then just your regular self, cameras off, etc., right?
Right. As somebody who really wants to be the most authentic, the most transparent, it's where do you draw the line, right? It's what if I'm having a terrible day today? What if I had a terrible day today all the time? What if the worst things happen to me all week? Does my transparency mean that I'm going to spew that online? Not necessarily. And this has taken a lot of thinking to get here because you do have a niche. At the end of the day, my niche is dog training. Right. My niche is being authentic, my real self. But if I myself don't draw the line between how much I want to share, just because I say I want to share my authentic self doesn't mean I have to share that I'm in debt $10,000 or that or things like that. And that's not true. But you know what I mean? Some things are too personal. And it's not even about how I would say others perceive me. It's more about how comfortable I feel no matter what others perceive of me.
Right.
If that makes sense?
Yeah.
And I understand. I have the understanding that my whole full in-person self can't translate on a camera because I watch all my content, but I don't know if somebody else watched all of it or if they just watched a few videos.
Right.
I've had conversations with people on the street and I'm just bringing things up and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, well, I post about it all the time.
Right.
I thought you would know that. My point was to get you to know that, but
I've had the exact same thing happen on a small scale too, where it's people don't even know I have this project, and that's fine.
That's fine.
It's I post about it constantly.
Yeah.
And then everybody's just living their own, and that's
people are
fine.
in their own heads. People are in their own heads. Now, I don't know if it's different for lifestyle creators because there are people out there who have a lifestyle as their niche completely.
Oh yeah.
And they're more open to. They're like your best friend. So you do feel like more entitled to know their day-to-day life. I put a hard line in the sand because I was once a lifestyle creator.
Okay.
And
can you explain the difference between what you do now and being a lifestyle creator?
Yeah, totally. And in my opinion, right? Because I might not articulate this perfectly, but lifestyle creator is your best friend on the camera, talking like it's FaceTime, and you know what they eat, you know what they wear, you know what they work out. There's a lot of girlies who are in that.
I actually have seen some Austin creators where that's what they do. They basically walk you through their entire day.
Yep.
Which, I guess to impose, to me, that seems like an overwhelming amount of responsibility.
It is.
To feel like every core moment has to be captured. And truth be told, this is one of the main reasons I held back from even filming myself and producing these videos for a while, is because I had to fight against that almost a self-judgment that A, nobody has any interest, and B, I'm going to ruin my ability to be present in the moment if I'm constantly in my head thinking about, holy smokes, I could make a really great shot of this moment right now. Look at those fireworks. Let me get my camera out. And then I'm out of the present moment, you know. And I place so much value on being present and being aware. And it's only until producing multiple of these that I realized there is a way to have a good balance with it. And the way you may feel about something from the outside does not necessarily indicate that once you're up and in it, where you're filming constantly and such, that you're not going to still be able to be present. It's like the brain makes new room to invite both in. I can still be present, but then I can also get excited to film a shot of an exciting moment as it's happening.
Yeah, that's actually, I like the way you worded that, because you're right, it's kind of hard to bridge the two. I realized a long time ago, the lifestyle creators are the ones that have a camera in their face at all times.
Right.
I have plenty of creator friends who have millions of followers, and they tell me, Taylor, I have a camera in my face all the time and it's so stressful. And at one point I thought I had to do lifestyle to feel good enough as a creator, right?
What do you mean feel good enough?
Feel like I belonged as a creator, right? Because I thought you really did have to share your day-to-day or share your life or more of the lifestyle things that, like you said, you might not even feel comfortable sharing in the moment, or might take you away from the present moment. Yeah. But I felt pressured to do those things. And I kind of had that pressure let me take a step back and decide, you know what? I don't want to share my day-to-day. I don't have everything figured out all the time. I'm going to go and I'm going to focus on my niche. I kind of flipped it. People do thrive in the lifestyle niche too, but not me. It's a lot of pressure. And I like being in the moment for my experiences and then telling people how that is. I do like sharing my experiences in the after rather than in the moment. Yeah.
Agreed. I would say one of the things I find fascinating about making any piece of content, in a lot of ways it's art. And to me, the thing that excites me so much about art, whether it is internet videos or music or some other pursuit, is that people will put their own meaning onto something you made that may be beyond anything you even conceived in the first place, right? Like when people hear a song, they can divine meaning from the lyrics that the artists themselves didn't even put in. So people can kind of take what you made and make it their own in some interesting ways. And so I can never fully pass judgment on what I'm making because somebody else might get a lot more value out of a moment that I would just drop on the cutting room floor.
You're so right about that.
There's
I think
like
that's
an
beautiful.
openness. There's like an openness you have to develop to let people make their own meaning from something you make and just be brave enough to share.
Man, that's really nice the way you laid that out. And I think it's something that people really need to hear, because people will stop once it gets a little hard. And you got to remember why you started in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can get where you want to go. It's just, are you going to be the people who stopped when it got hard, or are you going to be the people who just kept going?
Right. Do you have any advice for people who are on that journey? Maybe they're on the edge of wanting to start sharing a portion of their life or something that's interesting or make a cool piece of art, right? Do you have any advice for people who are kind of on the fence but aren't fully comfortable enough yet?
yeah, for some reason I want to say, stop telling people you're going to do it and just do it.
Ooh.
You know?
It's okay. It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I've heard the flip side where sometimes the most important thing or something that can be helpful is to tell people you're doing it so you feel accountable. Like, I'm doing it.
Ooh.
You better next week, you're going to see an upload from me. You're going to see XYZ from me.
Well, how about this? How about this? I'm doing it. Here is $1,000. Give it back to me when I do it. That's keeping me accountable. No, you telling somebody isn't doing it for me.
Okay.
But you saying, here's everything I have in my savings account. Please keep it if I don't do it, or give it back to me if I do.
That's wild. Okay, that's extreme, and I love it. I love it. Speaking of extreme,
Okay.
and speaking of authenticity, I feel like one of the challenges of social media and the algorithms is that it pushes the most polarized and extreme things to the top. In an era of social media where you know that you might have a more successful, from a views perspective, result by overreacting something or being more extreme, how do you stay authentic with that opportunity presenting itself? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And hearing you say that makes me think of all of that endless content that is mindless on YouTube. And
The brain rot.
who am I to judge, right? Anybody? Because I think at the end of the day, we're all consuming content, whether it's TV, YouTube. I even on my own personal time consume content that might be brain rotting, right? It might just be.
Sometimes you got to stick your hand in the cookie jar, okay?
Yeah, I get it. But me personally, I rely on my internal guidance system. I just have a really strong relationship with my intuition, my gut, and I don't feel good when I don't post something of value to me. It's almost like an itch that I have to scratch if I don't post of things of value. And for me, that's dog training. I consider myself extremely lucky to be able to know that, to know what that is. It's called, I think it's a Japanese term called Ikigai.
Ikigai. Yeah.
Ikigai.
The perfect intersection of your values, your passions, and work.
And
I believe.
hobbies.
And hobbies.
And what the
right.
world needs. I think it's such a valuable tool, to find what your thing is in life, which can change, but just off camera, wasn't I just telling you to say something controversial in your YouTube video to get more views?
You were.
Hey, and here's the thing. I think that the funny part is living your real life can be controversial. I think that's controversial.
No doubt.
So guess what? I end up going viral just for being myself.
I love that you say that. I actually love that you say that so much. So much of the purpose of this project overall is to show people the magic and the nuance of the ordinary human being through ordinary conversations, and how the people around you will light up when you ask the right questions. As you are, you're enough.
Yeah, that's very
true. You don't have to be extreme.
That's true.
To get there and to be worthy of interest or a following, whatever it is.
Oh my gosh.
Put all the social media metrics aside.
Yes.
There's enough value as is in just being willing to talk to other people.
It's funny actually, because I look up to a lot of creators that have more followers than me.
Right.
And I look at what they say, and you know what I hear a lot of them say is they posted in their own niche. They have millions of followers in their own specific niche, and then they're doing great from the outside in. From the outside looking in, they're doing great.
Right.
But they pause and they come back, whether after a year or a few months or a few days, and they say, I don't feel authentic. You guys, I just don't feel authentic. I love what I post, but I don't feel connected to it, because they didn't allow themselves to be authentic throughout posting their niche. For example, I can get a lot of views on dog training content, but the second I post something that isn't as dog training or isn't as viral, but is how I feel, is what I think the average everyday person would be related to, which is imposter syndrome,
Right.
which is dealing with being tired after a long day, just anything. I sprinkle it in, not because the content creator in me hurts because it doesn't have the views, but I honestly don't care, because that's how I feel connected, even if it's a small impact, which I'm sure it's not. I'm sure I'm impacting bigger than I think I am. But I look at the numbers, right? And I judge myself based on those numbers, and I just don't allow myself to do that anymore. So I should say I did do that, but it's not a sustainable job or even lifestyle for me to be worried all the time about
Absolutely.
numbers.
Please, for your own sake, especially. I think it takes a certain amount of repetition to get to the point where you care less about what other people think. I think it is one of the most freeing things there is when you hit whatever point that is in your life. For some people, it takes a really long time. For other people, I mean, it took me 25 years to finally hit that point where I was able to look in the mirror and go, I'm so happy, I'm proud of the person I am today, and I will not judge myself. I refuse to judge myself. And a large process of that, I think, is finding those things that light you up. For me, that is creativity. I'm at my most happy when I'm making something, when I'm putting something out into the world, regardless of however many people see it. But just knowing like I finished it. I ran a marathon, I got armed up again, and I ran another one. I just kept going.
Well, let me ask you, how long did it take you to sort before you found the thing you're passionate about? Did it take you a while, or did you know?
It took a long time.
That's what I think people don't realize.
But I will say this, a lot of that time was me hemming and hawing around getting started. And once I finally got moving, so many things fit into place.
Yep.
But a lot of that time wasted wasn't even me just soul searching. It was me being afraid to just take the first step.
And sometimes you need to be afraid. And that's okay that you need to be afraid. We all are. Even the most successful people still wake up every day and they're a little bit scared. But the difference between them and ordinary people is that they do it anyway. They do it scared. And I think that's very hard to do. But like you said, it's physics. Once a body is put in motion, they stay in motion. So the only hard part is doing it, is jumping off the ledge. But once you jumped off, you're off. You're in motion now. Everything's easier after that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this. It's been insightful, and I've never gotten to talk to someone quite like you. So this has been really fun.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
Speaking of fun, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. At the end of the day, if you can think of anybody else fabulous like Taylor that I should have a conversation with, please just drop that down in the comments. I would love to hear about it. With that being said, I'll see you next Sunday. Have a wonderful day and be good.